You have an interesting note here on Tua Tagovailoa, which I think is very significant as we prepare for the draft 6 days from now.
Greeny, there's been so much talk about Tua and the Dolphins dating back to last year and the Dolphins tanking for Tua. And as it turns out, on Thursday, March 12th, when this country began to undergo a change it's still feeling today, and the NFL was about to ban visits, the Dolphins and Tua were rushing to try to finalize a visit to make Tua the first college prospect to visit the Dolphins before the league turned out to ban visits on Friday, March 13th. They were trying to put it together desperately on Thursday the 12th and could not figure it out as much as they tried. And so at the last moment, the visit went by the wayside. Tua was unable to go to Miami on Friday, March 13th, as the Dolphins wanted. They wanted to put him through an extensive physical with their doctors there. The visit didn't happen. And so now the last time the Dolphins doctors have seen Tua was at the Combine. And now, of course, everybody's left to wonder where they're at on Tua, as is the case with other teams with him. And so that would have provided a tremendous amount of clarity if that visit only could have happened on Friday, March 13th. But that was the day, of course, that everything went crazy in this world, and we still have not recovered from it. And the Dolphins, in the sports corner of the world, were never able to get an examination, an up-close examination of Tua.
Yeah, just to give everyone some perspective on where we're talking about with days, Wednesday night, March 11th, was the night that the NBA suspended its season. And so we're talking about the day after that they were trying to make this happen, and it never does. So that's very interesting. Let's talk about why it may be important. What sense are you getting from the Dolphins of their willingness to take the risk that is obviously associated with drafting Tua at 5?
They have been through so much. They have gone through everything you could go through with the limited resources that they have at this point in time. And again, we'll find out next week exactly where they stand on it. But it seems like there's just been increasing buzz leading up to next week that they seem to be shying away from Tua and they seem to be leaning towards Justin Herbert. Now, we don't know that that's true, but that certainly seems to be the mounting buzz out there at this point in time. They've geared up for this draft. They've added all the draft picks. Everybody's expected them to draft the quarterback at this point in time. But all signs now continue to point to Justin Herbert and not Tua, when Miami was the team that everybody thought was tanking for Tua.
So you're a reporter. You can't recklessly speculate. I can. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking to myself, they were so desperate to get that physical, to get their hands and eyes on Tua in person, that it almost makes me feel like that was part and parcel of their decision, that without that, they maybe have been thinking to themselves, if we can't get this done, we just can't take him. That's the way my mind is going. Is that a dangerous place for me to allow my head to go?
Well, I think so. I wouldn't read too much into that. Look, Greeny, we are headed into a season, if it's played, of course, that there are going to be more questions, more uncertainties, more variables than any NFL season ever has had. And actually, I would say if there were ever a season that you'd want to go and draft Tua and roll the dice, this would be it. Because who knows if it's going to be a shortened season? Who knows what the conditions will be like? You just don't know. I had one team tell me last night that the importance of having a backup quarterback now is more important than ever before, because you don't know whether your quarterback could be out 3-4 weeks with a virus. So there's going to be more questions asked. So this might be a year to roll the dice on a player like Tua, but it certainly would feel a lot more comforting if your doctors had the extensive medical physical that the Dolphins were trying to put him through on Friday, March 13th, when they were trying to schedule that trip on Thursday the 12th. They couldn't get it done. And so now you're left sitting there, and maybe that just is the difference in the end, that they really like Herbert, they really like Tua, but they're going to take the safe approach if that's what they decide to wind up doing next week.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.